Welcome back to the program. I'm Mr. Chang. This is Next Week Now. Act 3, The Eyes of Racists Are Upon You. So recently a news article was published detailing the origins of UT's iconic hit song, The Eyes of Texas. Students sing this song all the livelong day. It's our worship song that they sing to their god, Fenvez. It's a truly beautiful tune. The eyes of Texas really are upon us, but not as much as the ever-looming regrets of our past. As it turns out, the original performers of The Eyes of Texas back in the day used to cover their faces with black paint, something Google refers to as blackface, in order to mock and degrade black people. I was so perplexed by this whole racism thing, so I conducted an investigation to get to the bottom of this. And from that investigation, I found some pretty disturbing information. Now, I advise discretion for our younger audience members. This is not PG material, folks. If you would prefer a beeped version of the story, one is available on our website. First of all, the Civil War. As we all know from our history classes as children, the Civil War was fought over states' rights. Well, that's wrong. I know, this is very difficult information to process, but it's true. These, quote, rights, unquote, were actually the rights to own slaves. And you know what? The slaves were black. Turns out, a lot of things in history were wrong. Remember the Transcontinental Railroad? Surprisingly, not about trans rights. But here's the real kicker. The KKK is also racist. Yes, I doubted it too, but my research shows, as demonstrated by this graph, insert graph, that the Ku Klux Klan was actually responsible for the deaths of hundreds of people and the disappearances of the cross decorations from my mother's living room. As you can see, racism has clearly been around for a very long time, hidden behind the shadows. However, there's one group that hasn't been a victim of racism: white people. Could this mean their attacks are yet to come? Well, we here at Next Week Now predict that we will stop racism, starting with white people. We will stop the violent racist attacks of the whites before they even happen. From there, we can start a snowball effect and team up with all the races to create a new fight song. Lyrics here written by Michelle Fascio. The eyes of racists are upon you all the livelong day. The eyes of racists are upon you. You cannot get away. Do not think you can escape them in hoods or MAGA hats of red. The eyes of racists are upon you till Davis blows his load. That song, again, was written by Michelle Fascio for Next Week Now.
Why?
Act 4, the prodigal sons have rules. Last week, the New York Times reported that the Vatican has secret rules for priests who father children. And when asked about these guidelines, the Vatican has confirmed that they exist, but have no intention of releasing them to the public. While that's fine for other news outlets, Next Week Now has no intention of resting until we uncover the full story. That's why we invited the highest-ranking Catholic official to talk about these rules. Please welcome Pope Francis.
Thank you for having me.
Glad you could make it. So, Pope Francis, we're wondering if you could talk about these guidelines the Vatican has established for priests with kids.
Of course. And these rules were created for the priests who broke the celibacy vows to take care of the children and the priests who have made them.
Sounds wonderful. Would you care to explain how you take care of the children?
Yes. One guideline we have is when the child is born, we baptize them. Then we just happen to hold them down for a little too long, and then the problem erases itself.
Wait a second. Are you talking about murdering children?
It's just not a murder. Just washing away the sins of the priest.
This seems highly, highly unethical.
Don't worry. We have other rules if you don't like that one. For example, if a priest fathers a child with a nun, we use that kid for the services.
Oh, that sounds nice. Are they an altar boy or on the choir or something like that?
No. though the incense were burning and waving around.
You're burning children alive? I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
Well, since the Vatican City is its own country, I get to set the laws, and it isn't illegal.
Are there any rules you have that don't involve murdering children?
Obviously! We sometimes sell the kids to an underground fight club in Rome. It's always so fun watching them beat each other to death. With the money. With the money.
My God, this is all very incredibly illegal.
With the money we pay our legal fees. You know, with the help of God, anything is possible.
This is somehow worse than every other scandal the Catholic Church has had so far. So is there any situation where a child isn't murdered or isn't put in mortal danger?
Well, there are a few, but it's reserved for the highest Catholic official, me.
So what happens if the Pope has a child?
It depends on the age of the child. When they're a baby, I hide it within my giant Pope hat. This way, the child is hidden, and they can control my actions in Ratatouille style. That's actually how the Crusades happened.
So what about when they're older?
Then I hide the kid under my Pope robes. In fact, I brought my son with me.
Papa, you let me emerge into the day once again.
Only temporarily, my bastard son. Only temporarily.
You have a son?
Papa, my name is Brian.
Listen, no one is a completely celibate. You gotta have a little of a side action.
Pope Francis, don't you think it's hypocritical of you to be murdering the priest's children but letting yours live?
Papa, you've been murdering the other children.
Brian, I can explain.
I trusted you, Papa.
No, Brian, my bastard son.
Ladies and gentlethems, Pope Francis. And now, Next Week Now was produced by Logan Lagoria, Trevor Nitschke, Brooke Rader, and Keegan Zipper. Additional materials produced by Logan Lagoria and Brooke Rader. We have a very small staff at Next Week Now. Correspondence segment also produced by the mysterious mastermind, Moksh Chiktara. I'm the host they call Chang. For Next Week Now, our final prediction is that you'll be listening to next week's news next week from this week's Next Week Now. Thank you and good night.